JD Martinez is picking things up. Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Tuesday, May 14th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White, and JD Martinez is coming around 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and 2 RBI. He did hit a home run over the weekend as well. Small sample size, batting over 300 for the New York Mets, but he was great last year with the Dodgers on a per-game basis. He's still hitting the ball hard this year. I was surprised to see that JD Martinez only 55% rostered, Scott. Should that number be higher?
Oh, absolutely. And I think if his offseason didn't play out the way it did, him signing very late, him having to begin the year in the minors, I don't think it would have ever dropped within 35 percentage points of where it is now. But, yeah, DH only, and those guys can be hard to fit in your lineup in a typical head-to-head context where you have fewer outfield and infield spots to fill. A lot of times your extra outfielder or infielder gets pushed to that utility spot where you'd plug in a DH only guy. And then the fact that you couldn't stash Martinez in an injury spot when he was gearing up to return to the majors. I just don't think there's been a lot of urgency to pick him up in those shallower leagues. But maybe there will be now, because I think in the long run, he'll be worth starting.
In those shallower leagues, as you mentioned, 12-team head-to-head points leagues like that, would you drop any of these names for Martinez? Jake Berger, still 77% rostered.
Obviously, he meets some positional needs that JD Martinez wanted, but leaving that aside, yes, I have more confidence in how Martinez is going to perform.
Michael Busch, still 83%.
Yeah, I'd rather have Martinez, all positions being equal.
Colton Cowser, still 80% rostered.
I'd be a little more hesitant there. Outfield is harder to fill than any infield spot, and Cowser has a wider variety of ways to contribute, obviously in a great lineup. I think there's a lot more upside there. So I think I'd rather have Cowser than Martinez.
And then Ian Happ, who is 75% rostered.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Again, we're talking about shallow leagues, so I don't think anybody's going to rush to pick up Happ if you drop him.
All right, 5 hitters who needed a big game, and they got it on Monday. Alex Bregman went 3 for 3 with a double dong and 4 RBI. He is now, after that, only up to 3 home runs on the season. He got off to a really slow start last year as well. Bichette went 3 for 4 with a walk and his 4th stolen base. He's batting just .218 with 2 home runs on the season. Bryan Reynolds, 5 for 5 with his 5th home run. He had 4 hard hits in that game. Spencer Torkelson has now homered in back-to-back games, and over his last 8, he is batting .310 with 2 home runs. And Yandy Diaz went 3 for 5 with a double and a run scored his last 10. He's batting .405 with 2 homers, 9 runs, 8 RBI. Scott, anything to add on these names? Any concerns? Anything that stands out? Yandy Diaz, Torkelson, Bryan Reynolds, Bichette, Alex Bregman.
There was never any doubt for Alex Bregman. We've been through this enough with him. The track record it speaks for itself. And I never had any doubts he'd bounce back. I think this is the start of him being a stud third baseman the rest of the way. Bryan Reynolds, this game was so good that it basically has his season numbers in line with last season now. So I don't think we need to stress about Bryan Reynolds anymore to the extent we were. More concerns maybe about Spencer Torkelson and Yandy Diaz, but I was mostly optimistic in them bouncing back. I was not endorsing dropping Torkelson, even though it took him until mid-May to hit his first home run, and now he has 2. So I think, cold start last year, streaky player, but I think Torkelson's going to deliver a lot of home runs, and Yandy Diaz for points leagues is going to be very valuable. I think maybe the one that concerns me some is Bichette. And I mostly say that because I was down on him coming into the year. And don't get me wrong, he's the second most valuable player here behind Bregman. He's a buy low. He's going to bounce back, all of that. But to what extent? Like, what is Bichette really? And we've been asking that for a couple of years now. The pull rate is down to 23% this year. It was 27% last year using Fangraphs data. And it's been falling steadily from early in his career when it was it was 35 to 40%. And so Bo Bichette is not maximizing his power outcomes. Maybe his batting average becomes more stable because of that. I feel pretty good about his chances of hitting near 300 despite the slow start this year. But is he going to be much more than a 20 homer guy? Maybe he approaches 25. He is running a little more, so that's good to see. But my comp for Bo Bichette coming into this year, I was calling him a rich man's Xander Bogaerts, and based on what I've seen from him so far, I'm inclined to stick with that assessment.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Odyssey app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.